So if you've been diagnosed with plantar fasciitis, these are a couple of things that we're going to do to try and help settle down your pain. So plantar fasciitis is actually a pathology of the ligament that's in the sole of your foot. So it attaches to the base of your big toe and then across the arch of your foot and into your heel. So you may have heel pain, which is specifically in the morning. So if your foot has been rested and you put your foot flat on the floor in the morning when you get up, or if you've been sitting for a long time and then get up, that pressure on the bottom of your foot will really hurt into the heel. It's basically caused from increasing your activity or decreasing your activity. So if you've taken on a job that requires a lot more walking or a lot more time on your feet, or if you've been training for a marathon, if you've had any extra weight gain, those kind of things can really load the sole of your foot. It also comes on if you've got tightened calves, so if you've done something recently that's caused your calves to tighten up. This sometimes happens in people that wear high heels often, or even pointy shoes will help to stop the mobility in your big toe. So it just kind of plays with that, the arch support and that shock absorption that you get when you walk. And those kind of things can aggravate your plantar fascia. What happens is over time that there's some pulling on that plantar fascia and it pulls into your heel attachment. And so over time you may get a heel spur and it's diagnosed as a heel spur on an x-ray, but that's not necessarily the cause of the pain. That's just the pulling on the heel that gives you that pain. And also if your calves are tight, they're pulling up the back of your foot, plantar fascia is pulling on the other side of the heel bone and you get that pain in your heel. So we're going to go through a couple of exercises that you can do to first of all try and mobilize your big toe to try and loosen that up. Also to try and loosen up your calf if that has been tightened up. And then what we're going to do is try and work on that actual plantar fascia to try and loosen any adhesions and get it more mobile. So here we go. So in the beginning stages, when you still have a lot of pain in the sole of your foot or your heel, what you can do is roll it out on some ice. So what you would do is take just a 500 ml bottle of water and fill it with water. You would then freeze it, and then once it's frozen, you're going to use this as a roller. So you would put this underneath your foot and roll your foot on that. The ice will help to settle down any inflammation. It will also help to numb it a little bit to try and take away some of that pain. And then you can concentrate in areas that feel really tight underneath your foot. So if it's into the arch, you can work into there. If it's into the heel, you work in there. And you basically try and put pressure onto those areas that are sore, wait for them to settle down, and then also roll the whole sole of your foot. So you can give that a go for the pain. You'll notice that in the mornings the pain is quite bad, especially when you put your first foot down onto the floor. Those first few steps can be agonizing, and that's because your foot has been in a rested position, and when you put your weight on it to put your foot flat, it obviously puts a stretch on that fascia. So what we're going to do first, before you get out of bed, is to try and stretch your foot when you wake up. So you can either use a band or a rolled up towel or your dressing gown cord, and you're going to hook it underneath your foot and then straighten out, and really try and stretch out your foot and stretch out your calf. If when you get out of bed you don't have this at the get-go, you're going to use your other foot, hook it on top of your painful foot, and also try and pull that up. You would hold that for like 30 seconds or so at a time, just to try and ease out that initial step, to try and ease out that first step of the morning. What you're going to try and do to try and stretch out your big toe and the plantar fascia is try and get your toes up the wall and then push your knee towards the wall, aiming over your big toe. So you'll feel a stretch into your big toe as well as into the arch underneath here. This you would also aim to hold for 30 seconds at a time, 2 or 3 times, to try and ease out the big toe and the plantar fascia. The next thing you're going to do is to try and stretch out your calf. So if you find a step, you're going to stand on the step with the good foot and let the other foot hang down. You can feel the stretch in the calf, and then when when you've done 30 seconds or so of that, you can then do a bent knee and stretch out the deeper layer and hold that again for 30 seconds. So the next thing you're going to do is to try and strengthen up that plantar fascia and load it. So what you're going to do is roll the towel and put it against the wall so that you can flex your toes up against it. In the initial phases when this is quite tricky, you're going to use the good foot to take some load off. And then you're going to raise yourself up onto the ball of your foot and then slowly lower yourself down. Up you go, and slowly down. Up, slowly down. As this gets easier and you're not feeling any pain, you can then load yourself up with 2 feet, take your weight onto the sore foot and then lower down slowly. Use 2 feet to lift yourself up, take your weight onto the sore foot and lower down. Onto the sore foot, take the weight off and lower down. And then when that gets easier, you would then go 1 foot loaded only. So all the way up and slowly down. Up, slowly down. So as far as self-management goes, what we need to do is to release the plantar fascia underneath your heel. So it attaches into the base of your heel, and that's usually where you feel the pain, but the plantar fascia is all the way up into your big toe. So to treat this at home, you need to try and break down any kind of adhesions or chronic tightness in there. So you can massage all the way from the heel, which is obviously where the most painful part is, or underneath your navicular bone, underneath the arch here is usually where some tension point happens, and then underneath the foot. So you can work a massage underneath there to try and loosen it. What you can also do is when you feel there's a restriction or there's something sore, you're going to put both thumbs on it and try and pull apart and hold that for a minute or so, just to try and break down any adhesions into the sole of your foot. Anywhere that feels quite tender is where it needs a little bit more work, so feel free to work into those points. And you'll see the skin doesn't move much. We're trying to get into the fascia, which is the next layer in. So you would take up the slack of the skin and then hold that pulling apart kind of motion and allow the tissue to spread slowly. And then you can massage into there to try and loosen things up as well. You can also work on your big toe, so make sure that you work on that flexibility. You need to get to a nice 90-degree angle there. You can also add a bit of a pull, so as if you're pulling your toe off, and try and hold that to try and ease up that joint, but make sure that you work into getting a 90-degree toe extension. So what I'm going to show you next is how to strap your own foot. So if you are in recovery mode and you're going out for a run, or you're going to be spending a lot of time on your feet and you just need that extra support, you can just add some strapping to the bottom to support that arch. So this is a nice easy one you can do at home. There's loads of other techniques, but this one works quickly and is easy to do it by yourself. So we use a kinesio tape, but you can use any elasticated tape. You can just tear that piece off like that, so make sure you don't touch the tape when you're putting it on. You're then going to attach that onto the bottom of your foot there, and then with a little bit of a pull up and over the top of your arch and rub it to secure. And then you're going to add another layer try and extend your foot, create that arch and maintain the arch with the tape. And you'll feel that that will give you a nice support when you're running, just to try and help retrain that arch support.